Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Basement Card Collector. Today's video, we found some cards at a yard sale. We went to a community center and they actually had 50 plus tables set up for a yard sale. And you never know what you're going to find there, of course. And so I actually had a buddy who was there early and he saw a table that had 3 boxes of cards. And if you look at the tall white box here, it had $7 on it. And there's a little white box here that says $2 for baseball. Also, the first said baseball, you can't see it. And then this big 1990s Trivial Pursuit game. It says $10 for basketball, hockey, and baseball. So it's kind of an assortment of things. And we picked them up. We were able to get the 3 boxes for $15. And I have not yet opened them yet, so I'm going to be digging into those here pretty quickly. But I wanted to show you and I found a second table selling, let me move some of these cards, 2 boxes of the Desert Storm cards. Actually, you can still see the boxes. They're in pretty good shape. And the owner of the box, I'm sorry, the seller, he has inside the boxes are all of the wrappers. And you might be able to take a peek in there. They're taped shut. Oh, not anymore. They were taped shut, but the packages are still in the box. I don't know what I'll do with those, but I do remember buying these as a kid. 1991 is when they came out, and Desert Storm was happening in Iraq and Kuwait and over there in the Middle East. And so I remember getting these cards at home thinking, this is kind of cool and kind of scary at the same time. It's like there's a war happening and they're making baseball cards. I remember thinking that in 1991, I would have been like 11 years old. But if you look at some of the guys on these first few cards, President George Bush, General Colin Powell, here is a guy named Dick Cheney, but Norman Schwarzkopf, and some of the names that I remember hearing, and they go through and take several photos of, if you take a peek here, some of the helicopters, some of the fighter jets, and then the seller in the pages, they're like several cards deep. So of this card, this has 4 cards of that one card stuffed into one sleeve. So there are multiple sets involved, and I didn't go through and take them out and do any kind of sorting just yet. But I thought that was a pretty cool deal, and I picked those up for a couple bucks too. And so I'm going to go through and number them and make sure they're all there. But it's an 88 card set with some of these really cool stickers on the back. And maybe you out there remember these as well. But it's just one of those really cool sets that aren't really, baseball of course, but like real heroes of men and women in combat. And so these are some of the different divisions and different medals assigned, different logos, pretty cool US flag to end with. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to dig in through these boxes, the big Trivial Pursuit card box and the 2 white boxes. We're going to dig in there and see what we found, just for about $15, $20 total between the Desert Storm cards and then the what's in the mystery boxes. It's one of the cool parts about being at a yard sale. You just never know, and that feeling of not knowing what's in front of me right now is what makes me keep going to yard sales. And you just don't know what you're going to see. My chances, my guesses, there's nothing, there's nothing in it that's going to make $1 million, but at the very least, it might be some things I need for some of my sets, and I won't know that until I get through these things. So for now, we're going to take a pause, and we'll be back with a little recap to see what we find in the 3 boxes. And we're back. We've gone through the box of cards we found at the garage sale, and here's what we found. This huge stack you can see here is almost the 1988 Fleer set. Yes, that 1988 Fleer set. Look at this. That seller let 2 of these get away, though. 2 Greg Jeffries rookies. But yeah, there wasn't a single superstar. A couple solid players, but not any one star. But a good chunk of 88 Fleer that I might have to put in order just to see, because that's what I like to do. This stack was kind of interesting. It's all hockey. 90 score, 91 upper deck, and I'm not too familiar with that exactly, but kind of a cool little side stack that I didn't really understand. A big stack of Cubbies for my Cubbies PC, and I'll throw all of these in. 1990 Topps Traded. You don't see those too often. So that was kind of fun. Another stack of just sets that I like to collect, Gold Cups. Some 94, 95s, 1987, love those. Some All-Star cards, which I love. Rated rookies, back to 88. There's a Blackjack McDowell. Another version of those. Some Diamond Kings, and just some, I guess, some super side PCs, some art cards. Pretty cool. Provision Gooden. So again, nothing that I needed. Just some super side PCs. Check out some of these way oddball cards. Some Star Trek, some Marvel 93 cards. There's the Ghost Rider. How about this? Even some Nickelodeon cards, the Fairly Odd Parents. I remember seeing that. They get into some pretty cool reflective art. Comic cards, some tracks, even the Lion King. So there were some really random sets, which are kind of fun. How about these in the hockey world, though? Pretty cool. Patrick Waugh. Here we got 2 Jeremy Roenick's. Pretty young Joe Sakic. In that 1990 Topps Traded. I'd never even seen these. 2 pretty legit guys from the 70s and 80s at the end of their career. And then a Kevin Moss 90 Topps Traded. That card used to be really, really sweet. And then these would be the final kind of stack of some cool guys in this box. By far the biggest names. Got a Larry Bird. Check out these 2 Ty Law rookies. The base, and then like the silver signature, I guess, rookie card. This was pretty random. Out of all these 1990 cards that were in the box, 1990 score, 90 Fleer, 88 Topps, 87 Topps, there were these random 2014 Donruss. Yachty, Nick Castellanos, which I like because he was a Chicago Cubby for just a minute. Speaking of Cubbies, Mr. Starlin Castro. How cool is that? The Donruss Studio, Felix Hernandez. And a really cool Donruss Elite, Clayton Kershaw. And the coolest card in the whole box that I found, they pulled out everybody they could, every superstar they could, except for they missed a Xander Bogaerts rookie Donruss card. And I don't know what that's worth. It doesn't even matter. But it was by far the coolest card. I'll put him there. We'll get a little Cubby love there for Starlin. So there's some really cool, just kind of rando cards. Here's the last 2. The Zamboni Machine and the 1991 Upper Deck, they gave the man, Mr. Frank J. Zamboni, got his own card. How cool is that? There were like 4 or 5 of those. I'd never seen that, but that's pretty cool. And this really weird Roberto Clemente Sun-Kissed card. I'd never seen that. Just again, some really bizarre cards. So in the world of the yard sale, you never really know what you're going to get, but that's part of the fun. And so you win some, you lose some, and in this time you just got a bunch of guys' stuff that they pulled out every single star except for these random kind of recent Donruss cards that were stuck in the middle of a bunch of 1990s, 1980s. I did pick up the Desert Storm. There appears to be 2 complete sets. So if there's anybody out there that knows what those are or needs a few, or if you're trying to build those sets that aren't so mainstream, I have some. You can let me know in the comments below. But that concludes this yard sale find. Hey, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes you get some guys comments from the late 80s, early 90s. So that's the yard sale world. Anyway, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.